Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the Spirit of Liberty. The ship was quiet, except for the soft hum of the engines. They had been flying through space for 3 weeks now, looking at different planets and stars. It was a normal job for the exploration team. "Captain, I'm getting some strange readings on the sensors," said Kevin Brooks. He was the science officer and always noticed things first. His fingers moved quickly over his control panel. "There's something big out there, but I can't see it." Jake looked at the main screen. Space looked empty, just like it had for the past hour. "How big are we talking about, Kevin?" "Really big, sir. Like bigger than our ship. Maybe 10 times bigger." Lisa Green, the pilot, turned around in her seat. "Could be asteroids. This system has lots of floating rocks." "No, this is different," Kevin said. His voice sounded worried. "It's moving in a pattern. Asteroids don't do that." Amy Davis, who handled all the ship's communications, suddenly looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm picking up radio signals. They're not natural." Jake felt his heart beat faster. In all his years of space exploration, they had never found signs of alien life. "What kind of signals?" "I'm not sure. They're trying to talk to us, I think." Before Jake could answer, the space around them began to change. The empty darkness started to shimmer and wave, like heat rising from hot ground. Then huge shapes began to appear. 1 ship, then 2, then 5, then 10. They were enormous dark metal ships that looked like they could crush the Spirit of Liberty without even noticing. "Holy cow," whispered Tony Rodriguez from the engine room over the intercom. "Boss, you seeing this?" Jake stared at the alien ships. They were covered in spikes and had glowing red lights. It looked like something from a scary movie. "Everyone, stay calm. Amy, are they trying to communicate?" "Yes, sir. I'm getting a signal now. It's in English." The main screen flickered, and suddenly a face appeared. It was blue and had large yellow eyes. The creature wore what looked like black armor with silver decorations. Its voice was deep and dramatic. "Attention, primitive species. You have entered the sacred domain of the mighty Galactic Empire. I am Admiral Vixthil the Destroyer, commander of the Imperial Fleet. You will surrender immediately or face your inevitable doom." Jake looked at the alien on the screen. The creature was trying to look very scary, but something was wrong. The armor looked fake, like plastic. The yellow eyes were too bright, like they had lights behind them. The whole thing looked like a costume from a cheap science fiction movie. Lisa started to giggle. She put her hand over her mouth, but there. Sound came out anyway. "This is no laughing matter." The alien said, waving what looked like a fancy stick, "I am Vexthil the Destroyer. I have conquered 1,000 worlds." Kevin looked at his captain with wide eyes. "Sir, he looks like my little brother when he dresses up for Halloween." That did it. Jake started laughing. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. The alien's costume was so obviously fake. The dramatic voice sounded like someone pretending to be scary. Even the name Vexthil the Destroyer sounded like something a kid would make up. "Are you ... are you laughing at me?" the alien asked. He sounded confused instead of angry. Sorry, Jake said, wiping tears from his eyes. "It's just ... You look exactly like a character from this old TV show we used to watch. Galaxy Warriors, or something like that." Amy was trying not to laugh, too. "The makeup is really good, though. Very professional." "Makeup?" Vexthil looked even more confused. "This is my natural appearance. I am a mighty Zephyrian warrior." "Oh," Jake said, suddenly feeling a little bad. "You're serious? You actually look like that." "Of course I look like this. Why would I not look like this?" Tony's voice came over. The intercom again. "Captain, I hate to interrupt, but I just looked up those old Galaxy Warriors episodes on my tablet. This guy looks exactly like Commander Zorb from Season 3. Lisa burst out laughing again. Oh my God, he does. Even the voice is the same. Vexthal's face was getting darker blue, which Jake guessed meant he was getting angry. You dare mock the appearance of the Galactic Empire? We're not trying to be rude, Jake said, still fighting back laughter. It's just that you look like actors from our entertainment shows, the ones we watch for fun. Entertainment? Vexthal looked like he had never heard the word before. Yeah, you know. Movies, TV shows, that kind of thing. We have people who dress up like aliens and pretend to be scary. You look exactly like them. The alien admiral stared at Jake for a long moment. You ... You have people who pretend to be aliens? Sure, it's called acting. They make movies about space battles and alien invasions. Really popular stuff. And I look like these. Actors? Exactly like them. Even the costume is the same. Though I have to say, yours looks more expensive. Vexthal turned to someone off-screen and whispered something in a language that sounded like gargling. Another alien voice answered, also sounding confused. Humans of the vessel Spirit of Liberty, Vexthal said, turning back to the screen. You'll come aboard our flagship immediately. You are under arrest for ... for laughing at you, Jake suggested. For crimes against the dignity of the Galactic Empire. That's a crime? Amy asked. It is now. Jake looked around at his crew. They were all trying not to laugh, but not doing a very good job. Even Kevin, who was usually serious, had a big smile on his face. Okay, Jake said. We'll come aboard your ship. But just so you know, we're not trying to be mean. Where we come from, laughing usually means we're happy or something is funny. It's not an insult. Everything about humans is an insult. Vexthal declared. Prepare to be boarded. The screen went dark. Jake looked at his crew, who were all grinning at him. Well, he said, this is definitely going in the mission report. Day 21. Met aliens who look like actors from bad TV shows. Should we be worried? Lisa asked. Jake looked at the massive alien ships surrounding them. They were big and had lots of weapons, but something about the whole situation felt more silly than dangerous. I don't think so, he said. Anyone who gets that upset about being laughed at probably isn't as tough as they pretend to be. Famous. Last words, Tony said over the intercom. Maybe, Jake replied, but I have a feeling this is going to be more fun than frightening. The inside of the alien ship was just as fake-looking as Admiral Vexthal himself. Jake and his crew walked through halls that looked like they were made of plastic painted to look like metal. The walls had blinking lights that served no purpose, except to look impressive. Even the floor felt hollow under their feet. This is their flagship? Lisa whispered to Jake as they walked. It looks like a theme park ride. Jake whispered back, but he was thinking the same thing. The whole ship felt cheap and fake. 2 Zephyrian guards walked behind them. They wore the same plastic-looking armor as their admiral and carried weapons that looked like toy ray. Guns. Jake had seen more realistic props at science fiction conventions. They entered a huge room with a high ceiling. At the far end sat a group of aliens on tall chairs that were supposed to look like thrones. These were supposed to be the leaders of the Galactic Empire, representatives from different alien species. Behold, announced Admiral Vexthal, who was standing next to the thrones. The humans who dared to laugh at the mighty Galactic Empire. They, aliens on the thrones, all turned to look at the humans. Jake counted 12 different species, and every single one of them looked like something from a costume party. There were green ones with big heads, red ones with tentacles, and purple ones with too many eyes. They all wore shiny robes and jewelry that looked like it came from a toy store. "So these are the humans," said one of the aliens. He looked like a giant lizard wearing a crown. "They do not look very dangerous." "That's because we're not dangerous," Amy said. "We're explorers. We just look at planets and stars." "Silence!" shouted another alien. This one was tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. "I am Commander Zix of the Krillian Empire. We will show you the power of our death rays." The alien pressed a button on his chair. A panel opened in the wall, and out came a device that looked like a hairdryer with flashing lights. It pointed at a metal plate on the floor. "Behold the power of Krillian technology," Commander Zix announced. "Watch as our death ray destroys this metal plate." The device made a buzzing sound and shot a red beam at the metal plate. The plate glowed red, then orange, then white. After about 30 seconds, it melted into a puddle. "Impressive, right?" Commander Zix said, looking very proud of himself. Kevin looked at the melted metal, then reached into his tool belt. He pulled out a small device that looked like a pen with a blue tip. "That's pretty neat. We use these for basic construction work." "What is that tiny thing?" asked Commander Zix. "Plasma cutter," Kevin said. He pointed it at a metal beam that was twice as thick as the plate. The beam cut through the metal like it was butter. The cut was perfectly straight and clean. "We use them to cut pipes and fix things. Every construction worker has one." The alien stared at the cut metal beam. Commander Zix's 4 arms hung limp at his sides. Your construction workers have death rays?" he asked. "Well, we don't call them death rays," Kevin said. "They're just tools, like a hammer or a screwdriver." Another alien stood up. This one looked like a purple blob with eyes. "I am Morphid Prime. Watch as I demonstrate the terrifying power of shape-shifting." The blob alien began to change shape. First it became a copy of Admiral Vexthul, then it turned into a giant spider, then into a monster with claws and fangs. Each transformation was slow and obvious. "Are you supposed to be scary?" Amy asked. She pulled out her phone and showed the aliens a video. "Look, this is from a movie we made last year. The actor is changing from a normal person into a werewolf. The video showed a person transforming into a monster. The change was smooth and realistic, with fur growing and bones changing shape. It looked much more convincing than what the alien had done." "How is this possible?" asked Morphid Prime, who had changed back to his blob shape. "The transformation is so smooth and real." "It's called special effects," Amy explained. "We use computers and makeup to make it look real. This actor is actually just a regular guy. He's not really changing shape. You can make non-shape shifters look like shapeshifters." "Sure, we do it all the time. It's entertainment. We make movies about aliens and monsters and space battles just for fun." A new alien stood up. This one looked like a rock with arms and legs. "I am General Vorthen of the Stone Fleet. Witness the size and power of our warships." The main screen lit up with images of alien spaceships. They were dark and angular, with lots of guns and spikes. The biggest one had 200 meters long written. Under it in alien text, "These are our mightiest warships," General Vorthen announced. "Each one can destroy a planet." Tony looked at the screen and started laughing. "Those little things? They're smaller than our cargo ships." "Little things?" General Vorthen sounded offended. Tony pulled out his tablet and showed them pictures of human ships. "Look, this is the cargo ship Big Mama. It's 800 meters long, and it just carries food and supplies between planets. And this is the heavy lifter, minus 1,200 meters long. We use it to move space stations." The aliens stared at the pictures. Their mighty warships looked like toys compared to the human cargo ships. Those are your cargo ships? Admiral Vextel asked weakly. Yeah, civilian ships. Just for moving stuff around. They're not even armed. What do your warships look like? General Vorthen asked. Oh, we don't really have warships, Tony said. We don't fight wars in space. These are just the biggest ships I have pictures of. The aliens looked at each other. They started whispering in their strange languages, and none of them sounded happy. Perhaps, said another alien, this one covered in fur with 6 legs. Humans would be interested in our advanced food preparation technology? A machine rose from the floor. It was covered in blinking lights and spinning parts. It made lots of noise and produced a bowl of gray paste. This is the finest food in the galaxy, the furry alien announced. It contains all the nutrients A. Being needs to survive. Amy looked at the gray paste. It looked like wet cement. That's food? The most advanced food in the galaxy. Amy reached into her backpack and pulled out a small package. This is an MRE. It's what our soldiers eat when they're away from home. She opened the package and pulled out several smaller packages. There was beef stew, crackers, cheese, chocolate, and a small heater to warm it up. She activated the heater, and soon the smell of real food filled the room. It has flavor, she explained, taking a bite of the beef stew. We make food that tastes good because eating should be enjoyable. The aliens stared at the MRE like it was magic. Several of them leaned forward to smell it. Your soldiers eat this? The furry alien asked. This is just basic field rations, Amy said. The food we eat at home is much better. Better than this? Oh yeah, we have thousands of different foods. Pizza, hamburgers, sushi, pasta, ice cream. We spend a lot of time making food that tastes good. Admiral Vextel looked around at his fellow aliens. They all looked confused and upset. Their advanced technology was being outclassed by human tools and basic supplies. Guards, he shouted, take the humans to the holding cells. We need to study them more. As the guards led them away, Jake heard the aliens arguing among themselves in their strange languages. They sounded worried and confused. Captain, Lisa whispered, I don't think these guys are as advanced as they think they are. No kidding, Jake whispered back. I'm starting to think we could take over their whole empire with a toolbox and a lunch bag. Should we be worried about that? Kevin asked. Jake looked back at the aliens, who are still arguing. I think they're more worried about us than we are about them. The holding cell was more like a fancy hotel room than a prison. The walls were covered in soft fabric, and there were comfortable chairs everywhere. The door wasn't even locked properly. It had a simple latch that could be opened from the inside. Some prison, Tony said, sitting down in one of the chairs. I've stayed in worse places on vacation. Jake was about to answer when the door opened. Admiral Vexthel walked in, followed by several other aliens. They all looked serious and determined. Humans, the Admiral announced, the Galactic Council has decided to give you a chance to prove you are not as primitive as you appear. We never said we were primitive, Lisa pointed out. Silence. We will test your abilities in fair combat. If you fail, you will be sent to the prison mines of Kepler 7. If you somehow succeed, we will consider making you servants instead of slaves. That's generous of you, Jake said, trying not to laugh again. The first test took place in what the aliens called their arena of strength. It was a large room with exercise equipment that looked like it came from a museum. There were weights made of stone, pulling machines made of wood and rope, and other devices that looked like torture equipment. The human female will compete against our greatest warrior, Admiral Vexthel announced. Lisa looked around the room. Which human female? You are the only human female here. Oh, right. Lisa shrugged. Okay, I guess The greatest warrior was a Zephyrian who was much taller than Lisa and covered in muscles. He wore armor that made him look even bigger and carried a weapon that looked like a giant club. "I am Gorth the Mighty," he announced. "I have never been defeated in combat." "Nice to meet you, Gorth," Lisa said politely. "What are we supposed to do?" "We will test pure physical strength," Admiral Vexthil explained. "You will lift weights. Whoever lifts the most weight wins." Gorth walked over to a stone weight that looked like it weighed about 200 pounds. He picked it up over his head and held it there for 10 seconds. The other aliens cheered and clapped. "No human can match the strength of Gorth the Mighty," Admiral Vexthil declared. Lisa walked over to the weight. She looked at it for a moment, then picked it up easily. She lifted it over her head with one hand, then started doing curls with it. "This is about 200 pounds, right?" she asked. "I usually lift 250 at the gym, but this will do for a warm-up." The alien stared at her. Gorth's mouth was hanging open. You are warming up?" he asked. "Yeah, you always warm up before lifting heavy weights. Don't you guys know that?" Lisa found a heavier weight and lifted it over her head. Then she found an even heavier one and lifted that too. Soon she was lifting weights that Gorth couldn't even move. "I work out 3 times a week," she explained to the shocked aliens. "Most humans do. We lift weights for fun and to stay healthy." "You lift weights for fun?" Gorth asked weakly. "Sure, it's relaxing. Some people watch TV to relax. I lift weights." The second test was called the Battle of Minds. Jake was brought to a room full of computers and screens. Across from him sat an alien with a huge brain and 6 arms. "I am Cerebrix the Wise," the alien announced. "I have studied strategy for 500 years. I have never lost a battle, even in simulation." "Impressive," Jake said. "What are we doing?" "We will play the ancient game of tactical warfare," Admiral Vexthil explained. "You will command fleets of ships in battle. Whoever wins the most battles is the superior strategist." A game appeared on the screens. It looked like a simple computer game, with little ships moving around on a map. Jake had played similar games on his phone during long trips. "You may take as much time as you need to plan your strategy," Cerebrix said. "I will wait." "Thanks, but I think I got it," Jake said. He started moving his ships around the map. Within 5 minutes, he had surrounded Cerebrix's fleet and won the battle. "Impossible," Cerebrix shouted. "You must have cheated." "I just used basic military tactics," Jake explained. "Divide and conquer, pincer movements, that sort of thing. My nephew plays games like this on his tablet. He's pretty good at it." "Your nephew?" "Yeah, he's 12. He'd probably give you a better game than I did." They played 10 more battles. Jake won all of them, usually in less than 10 minutes. Cerebrix got more and more upset with each loss. "How can you be so fast?" the alien demanded. "I need hours to plan a proper strategy." "It's just pattern recognition," Jake said. "Once you've played enough of these games, you start to see the patterns. Most battles are pretty similar." The third test was called the Challenge of Intelligence. Kevin was brought to a room full of alien scientists who looked very proud of themselves. "We will test your mathematical abilities," announced the lead scientist, who looked like a walking calculator with eyes. "Solve this equation." A massive equation appeared on the screen. It was covered in alien symbols and went on for several lines. It looked very complicated and impressive. Kevin looked at it for a moment, then pulled out his phone. He opened the SU calculator app and started typing. After about 30 seconds, he had the answer. "Is it 42.7? he asked. The alien scientist stared at him. "How did you solve it so quickly?" "I used my calculator," Kevin said, showing them his phone. This is basic algebra. We learn this in high school. High school? Yeah, when we're about 16 years old. This is pretty easy stuff. The alien scientists looked at each other, then whispered among themselves. One of them asked, "What is the most complex mathematics your species has developed?" Kevin thought for a moment. "Well, there's quantum mechanics, string theory, multidimensional. Calculus ... Want me to show you some examples?" The aliens nodded eagerly. Kevin pulled up some mathematical formulas on his phone. The alien scientists looked at them and started making excited noises. "This is impossible," one of them shouted. "These equations are beyond our understanding." "Really? This is just basic physics. We use this stuff to build computers and spaceships." The final test was supposed to be about cultural sophistication. Amy was brought to a room where the aliens had prepared their finest art, music, and literature. "Observe our greatest cultural achievements," announced an alien who looked like a walking flower. "This painting took our finest artist 100 years to complete." The painting looked like something a child might do with finger paints. It was just blobs of color with no real shape or meaning. "It's colorful," Amy said politely. "And listen to our most beautiful music," the alien continued. Strange noises came from hidden speakers. It sounded like someone was strangling a cat while playing a broken piano. Double quotes. "Very ... unique," Amy said. "And finally, our greatest literary work." The alien handed her a book. Amy opened it and saw that it was just the same word repeated over and over again for hundreds of pages. "What does this word mean?" she asked. "It means the alien said proudly. "Our greatest philosopher spent his entire life writing this book about the meaning of existence. He wrote the 50,000 times. It represents the unity of all things." Amy pulled out her phone and showed the aliens some pictures. "This is art from our planet. Paintings, sculptures, music, books." The aliens looked at the images on her phone. They showed beautiful paintings, incredible sculptures, and complex musical scores. The aliens grew very quiet. "You have many different types of art," the flower alien said softly. "Thousands of different styles," Amy explained. "Some of our artists spend their whole lives creating beautiful things. Not for money or fame, just because they love making art." "Your artists work for free?" "Some do. We call it passion. They create art because they enjoy it." When all the tests were finished, the aliens gathered in their council chamber. The humans were brought back to watch the results. Admiral Vexthul stood before his fellow aliens. He looked tired and confused. "The results are unexpected," he announced. "The humans have defeated our greatest warrior, our wisest strategist, our most brilliant scientists, and our most cultured artists." "It wasn't really a competition," Jake said. "We were just doing our best." "Your best is apparently superior to our best," Admiral Vexthul replied sadly. "How is this possible? You are supposed to be a primitive species." "We never said we were primitive," Lisa pointed out again. "You just assumed that. But you do not have faster-than-light travel." "We're working on it," Kevin said. "We've got some promising theories. Should have it figured out in a few years." The aliens looked at each other with expressions of growing panic. Their entire understanding of the universe was falling apart. That night, Jake was sitting alone in the fancy prison cell when Admiral Vexthul came to visit. The alien looked tired and sad. He sat down in one of the comfortable chairs and stared at the floor. "You are probably wondering why I'm here," Vexthul said quietly. "A little bit," Jake admitted. "You don't seem as scary as you did this morning." "I am not scary at all," Vexthul replied. "None of us are. We are all just pretending." Jake leaned forward. "What do you mean?" Vexthul sighed, which sounded like air leaking from a balloon. "The truth is, Captain Morrison, The Galactic Empire is not mighty at all. We are not advanced. We are not intelligent. We are just lucky. Lucky how? We were the first species to discover faster-than-light travel, but we did not invent it. We found it. Vexthul told Jake a story. Long ago, the Zephyrians were a simple people who lived on one planet. They had basic technology, similar to what humans had hundreds of years ago. They could barely fly to their own moon. Then one day, they found something in space near their planet. It was a network of tunnels that connected different star systems. They could fly into one tunnel and come out near a completely different star. We called them the ancient highways, Vexthul explained. We do not know who built them or why. They were just there, waiting for us to find them. The Zephyrians used the ancient highways to travel to other star systems. They found other species who also had basic technology. Because the Zephyrians were the first ones to use the highways, they could travel between stars while everyone else was stuck on their home planets. We told the other species that we had invented faster-than-light travel, Vexthul continued. We made ourselves seem more advanced than we really were. We created the Galactic Empire based on a lie. But why? Jake asked. Why not just tell the truth? Because we were afraid. If the other species knew that we had just been lucky, they might try to take control of the highways. We thought that if we seemed powerful and advanced, no one would challenge us. The plan worked for a while. The other species believed that the Zephyrians were super advanced. They joined the Galactic Empire and followed Zephyrian rules. But there was a problem. We became too afraid to innovate, Vexthul explained. We were worried that if we tried to develop new technology, we might reveal that we were not as smart as we pretended to be. So we stopped trying to improve. For hundreds of years, the Galactic Empire had been using the same old technology. They were afraid to experiment or try new things. They just kept pretending to be advanced while secretly knowing they were not. Our death rays are just focused microwaves, Vexthul admitted. Our invincible armor is just plastic painted to look like metal. Our massive warships are mostly empty space with cheap decorations. And your scary appearance? Jake asked. Makeup and padding. We thought that if we looked frightening, other species would be too scared to question our authority. Jake felt sorry for the alien. That must have been exhausting, pretending to be something you're not for so long. It was. And now you humans have arrived and exposed the truth. Your basic tools are more advanced than our best weapons. Your children understand mathematics better than our greatest scientists. Your entertainment is more sophisticated than our highest art. Meanwhile, in other parts of the ship, the alien scientists were studying the human technology. They had taken apart Kevin's plasma cutter and were amazed by what they found inside. The power source is incredibly efficient, one scientist reported to his colleagues. It is smaller than our entire ship's reactor, but produces more energy. How is that possible? Asked another scientist. I do not know. The technology is beyond our understanding. They have somehow compressed enormous amounts of power into a device the size of a writing instrument. The scientists also studied Amy's phone. They could not believe how much computing power was packed into such a small device. This communication device has more processing power than our entire fleet combined, reported the chief scientist. It can perform billions of calculations per second. What do the humans use it for? According to their records, they use it to take pictures of their food and send messages to their friends. The scientists were confused. Why would a species with such advanced technology use it for such simple things? In the psychology department, alien doctors were trying to understand human behavior. They had been studying recordings of the humans, conversations and reactions. The humans show no fear when faced with superior numbers, reported the chief psychologist. They do not seem to understand that they should be afraid. Perhaps they are too primitive to understand danger, suggested another doctor. No, that cannot be correct. Their technology proves they are highly advanced. I believe they are either the most dangerous species in the galaxy, or they are completely insane. What is the difference? A dangerous species would be planning to conquer us. An insane species would not care about conquest at all. Which would be worse? The psychologist thought for a moment. I am not sure. Both possibilities are terrifying. Back in the prison cell, Admiral Vexthel was still talking to Jake. The worst part is that we have been holding back the entire galaxy. All these species could have been developing amazing technology, but they believed our lies about being advanced. It's not too late to change, Jake said. You could tell everyone the truth and start working together to really advance. But what would happen to the Galactic Empire? What would happen to us? Maybe the Empire would become something better. Instead of ruling through fear and lies, you could lead through cooperation and honesty. Vexthel looked at Jake with his large yellow eyes. You really believe that? Why not? You guys seem to be pretty good at organization and administration. You've been running a galactic government for hundreds of years. That's not easy, even if you are faking the advanced technology part. We are good at paperwork, Vexthel admitted, and scheduling, and keeping track of different species' needs and preferences. Those are valuable skills. Maybe instead of being the scary overlords, you could be the helpful coordinators. For the first time since Jake had met him, Admiral Vexthel smiled. It was a sad smile, but it was real. You know, Captain Morrison, I think I would like that better. Being helpful instead of being feared. Then why don't you do it? Because I am not sure the other species will forgive us for lying to them for so long. Jake thought about that. Well, you won't know until you try. And maybe, if you're honest about what you did wrong, they'll be more willing to forgive you. You think so? I hope so. Everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is learning from them and trying to do better. Admiral Vexthel stood up to leave. Captain Morrison, I must ask you something. Are there more humans like you coming? Eventually. Probably. Why? Because I think your species is going to change everything. The question is whether that change will be good or bad for the rest of us. We're not looking to conquer anyone, Jake said. We just want to explore and learn and maybe make some friends along the way. I hope that is true, Vexthel said. Because if you decided to take over the galaxy, I do not think any of us could stop you. After the Admiral left, Jake sat alone in the comfortable prison cell and thought about what he had learned. The mighty Galactic Empire was built on lies and fear, but maybe it didn't have to stay that way. Maybe something better could come from the truth.